Presenting now is Modupe Ige Kachi from the Mountaintop University. Modupe Ige Kachi is a celebrated mezzo-soprano, pedagogue, and vocal coach for MTN Project Fame West Africa, where she mentored numerous rising stars. With a background in electrical electronics engineering, she has emerged as one of the most influential figures in Nigeria's music industry, known for her warm timbre and captivating performances across classical, jazz, and gospel genres. Her scholarly work explores the intersection of music reality TV and music education in Nigeria, bringing artistic practice in conversation with scholarly inquiry. She is currently a doctoral candidate in the Department of Music, the Organ House, at Mountaintop University, Ogun State, where she is advancing her research on music reality TV, music education, culture and creative industries, CCIs. Please welcome Modupe Ige Kachi as she presents Where Are the Women? Gender, Authority, and Acts of Transgression in Nigerian Art Music.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good afternoon. So the title of this presentation is a question. Where are the women? It's a question that comes from both personal experience and professional observation. And I'd like to take you on a journey through how that question emerged and what I discovered along the way. So this project began with a list. During a curation and documentation exercise of notable figures in Nigerian art music, composers, scholars, performers, we gathered over 50 names, but surprisingly, which you see on the screen, but surprisingly, a handful of them were women. Well, no. The ones on the screen are some of the names, very numerous names or faces, male faces that we curated. And out of those over 50 names, a handful of them were women. Also, I look back on my own musical journey. I've been a performer of Nigerian art music for many years. I was a member of Lazekweme Chorale. I had concerts at the Muson Center. But in all of these years, I realized that not once did I perform a piece by a woman. So this birthed the question, where are the women? Not just in performance, but in the archives, in composition, and in the stories, in the narrative that we tell about this genre. So to advance this discourse, I draw on Clenora Hudson Weems' works on the roles of women in Africa, in what she explains as Africana womanism. Hudson Weems argues that the experiences of the woman of African descent differ distinctly from Western feminism by prioritizing self-naming and self-definition, cultural authenticity, and family-centeredness and alliance with Africana men. This framework directly challenges the imposition of Western gender categories onto African societies. This thought also aligns with the work of Oyeronke Oyewumi in The Invention of Women, her book, Invention of Women, who argues that the very concept of woman as a social category always understood to be powerless, disadvantaged, and controlled and defined by men is derived from Western experience and history, not indigenous Yoruba thought. In this particular work, I draw on their perspectives to explore gender, authority, and acts of transgression in Nigerian art music. And I'll be focusing on the lives and works of Joy Nwosu Lo-Bamijoko and Agatha Onwuekwe to explore this discourse. Now, Joy Nwosu Lo-Bamijoko is one of the earliest classically trained Nigerian soprano singers who began her journey singing in the church choir under Lazekweme in Enugu. She won the soprano category at the Festival of Arts 7 years in a row and obtained a scholarship to study at the Conservatorio di Musica in Rome. She returned to Nigeria in the 1970s, already widely known as Nwosu the Voice. Her name carried weight in both musical and broadcasting circles. She joined the University of Lagos as a lecturer too in 1975. Her time at the University of Lagos, however, was marked by both recognition and resistance. Despite being warmly welcomed by colleagues like Ayo Bankole and Onwuekwe, she soon faced a campaign to discredit her qualifications. With grace and determination, Joy secured a US scholarship, gained admission to the University of Michigan for her PhD, and returned with proof of what she already knew. She was more than qualified. Her story is one of resilience, quiet resistance, and unshakable self-definition. She used her radio programs to feature composers and gave visibility to Nigerian art music. This was especially important in a country with limited publishing access. She collaborated with male colleagues like Ayo Bankole and Richard Buckner, showing alliance, not antagonism, which is Africana womanism in action. Professor Agatha Onwuekwe is another key figure that I spotlight in this work. A composer and academic at Nnamdi Azikiwe University, she's written over 100 works for choir, orchestra, liturgy, and special occasions. Actually, it was during our curation, the curation exercise that I am involved in, that I came across her. I had really never heard of her before, and I was intrigued. One of her most notable pieces is Igbo Amaka, which uses Igbo language and themes to fuse cultural authenticity with classical structure. But what's even more powerful is how her journey began. As a young girl in secondary school, Agatha composed a musical biography of a local chief, telling his life story through music. The chief was so moved, she was offered a scholarship to further her studies. But her school principal blocked her from receiving it. That experience, rather than breaking her spirit, lit a fire. She made a vow that she would study music to whatever degree she could, and she has kept that promise, earning degrees, teaching, composing, and mentoring. Her philosophy is simple. In her words, anything you compose, you play it, you sing it, it's composition. She empowers her students to write, not wait for permission. And she has supervised numerous master's and doctoral theses, opening doors for women to enter composition. She empowers her students to write, not wait for permission. And she has supervised numerous master's and doctoral theses, opening doors for women to enter composition. She doesn't just compose, she cultivates, she's mentoring the future. And by doing so, she's challenging the colonial idea that composition is an elite male-coded practice. So when we talk of transgression in the context of Nigerian art music, we're not talking about rebellion in the loud, aggressive sense. We're talking about quiet courage, about women who challenge the structures that have historically marginalized or overlooked them, not with confrontation, but with creation. They have done this by challenging Western hegemony, by infusing local speech patterns, tonalities, and cultural identities into their compositions, reclaiming the music as Nigerian, not just Western in structure, which is a key feature of Onwuekwe's compositions. Define gender norms by simply claiming space as composers. So for a woman to simply say, I am a composer, is not a small thing. That declaration itself becomes a political act, one that asserts authorship, ownership, and legitimacy. Prioritizing community over research. While academia often emphasizes composition as research, these women compose for churches, schools, children's choirs, local celebrations, etc. Self-definition and agency. They choose what and how to compose and who they share it with. In doing so, they honor oral traditions, communal storytelling, and the legacy of women as cultural custodians. Now, the stories of these women mirrored the experiences of women in Nigerian art music as they align with Clenora Hudson Weems and Oyewumi's ideologies. We begin with Grace Ofoka, a talented Nigerian composer and performer who's been commissioned internationally yet not fully recognized at home. Reflecting on her experience, she says, maybe this has happened because, in her words, I'm a woman. And then she goes on to say, I don't like to be called a female composer. I'm just a composer. Now she wants more than personal success. She wants legacy. She says, I want my story to be heard. I want others to find their voices. Now, all of these tie up with Hudson Weems' ideas on self-naming and family/community centeredness. But Grace also points to a larger problem of access and preservation. She says there are people, or women in particular, who compose, but we don't hear them. This brings us to Mrs. Oyinkansola Akinshelure, founder of Refunda Music Publishing, one of Nigeria's few active music publishers. As a performer and publisher, she has observed that despite being in the publishing space, she's only ever published one other female composer apart from herself. Still, through Refunda, she's working intentionally to bridge the gap. And finally, we hear from Onwuekwe, a respected pianist and composer who is actively working to spotlight female pianists and recognizes the imbalance in programming. However, he states, it's not that they are not composing, but they hesitate to push themselves forward. So we're left with a difficult but important question. Is the lack of visibility structural or psychological, or perhaps both? In conclusion, so where are the women? They are here. They have always been here. Let us amplify their voices, archive their work, and acknowledge their brilliance, not as an afterthought, but as part of the main story. And with this, I say thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Perhaps we have questions, queries, suggestions. Please, the floor is open. Yeah. Prof, something? Man, where are the women? Why are you laughing?
Sorry, before you say something, sir, when I watched the performance of the ensemble, there was just one woman in that performance. Praise. Where are the women?
Yeah, So, you posed that question about whether it's psychological or structural. I think it's structural. What do you think,
Well, I think it's both. I think it's both because the effects of colonialism are still lingering in the minds and the psyches of people. So that might be one of the reasons why, like one of the people I spoke with said, you don't even see women coming for composition. I was having a conversation with Tokwe Obalade. She did composition in her master's. And one of our lecturers was saying, she spoke in Yoruba, Kilo Nwadebe. You just like to do difficult things. So that's even coming from a female lecturer who is meant to, exemplify the fact that, women are out there. So I don't think it's just structural alone. I think it's in our psyche. I think it's somewhere in the air, maybe in the water we drink, in the air we breathe. It's just an unspoken thing. Women don't compose. Meanwhile, back in the day, pre-colonial times, women were keepers of the songs. They were the ones that spoke, that sang, that solved problems with music and song. So
actually that was what I was, because if you, I don't know whether you've read Karim Baba's I'll speak until tomorrow, till tomorrow, which is about women taking the front stage when it comes to chant, to Ricky, composing and performing. So that was why I was thinking, because we should remember that when the British came, they brought in their own gender problems. Because in their own country, women were suppressed, they were oppressed, and then they came and suppressed women here.
Yes.
You know, bringing in a new kind of structural dynamic. So that was what I was thinking, that it's likely structural. You know, did you stop drinking any water and you look at your hip? You know, so I think you know that may then have a psychological impact on women. You know, so I think those are you raised those questions very well. But I think it's likely structural, and we have to look for how to go ahead.
I was just an analogy came to mind. There was a little elephant, a baby elephant, who was tied to the pole. That structure, tied to the pole, given a length this far and no further. But he kept growing and growing, but he just never went beyond that structural limitation until he became a big elephant. And he still never went beyond that structural limitation. There was no more rope. There was nothing holding him back, but he just never went there. So structural now goes into the psyche, into the person. So it starts from there, but we really do need to do something about it.
Yeah. So you asked that question, where are the women? Maybe the next thing is, what is the solution? What are the things we need to do? Maybe will be the part, the next part of your research.
Yes.
Yeah.
Since it's an ongoing research, but if we all have any answers, sirs.
Oh, okay. Okay. We have two online. We have, first of all, initially Dr. Oloranti, then now we have Professor Adeolu Okunade. I'm sure we'll sort that out. But before going online, can we have one more locally? Dr. Habe.
All right, that was a very good presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Permit me to say that the women are here.
Like I said,
they are doing it.
Okay.
However, you mentioned one fact that they're not just being published. Dr. Loko is here. She writes. She might have not brought it out. Professor Atinuke in Delta State, the composer, the pianist. Yeah, they are there, but not heard so much about them. They are there doing their thing. And like you said, back in those days, women are in the forefront. They're still there, silent, willing to bring them. That's a good one.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Dr. Abe.
I think we should take everything, then you just respond to them, because we are also very mindful of, we have less than 6 minutes. So we have less than 6 minutes?
Okay.
That's good. There can be miracle. They'll bring it down. Okay. Online. Can they hear me? Okay, online, let's have okay, I'm going to do the normal thing. Let's have Professor Okunade. Please, let's make it briefly. Then we'll go to Dr. Oloranti, then Dr. Kwame Ashaolu. Let's go from Professor. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank
Professor
you.
Okunade.
Thank you for granting me the grace to speak. Let me quickly acknowledge Professor Omojola, who has given us his keynote, and Professor Kofi Agawu there. I can also see the Dean of the Faculty from Lagos State University of Education, Dr. Omolara-Loko. Having said that, I quickly want to thank the head of department of MTU and the convener of this conference, of this seminar session, Dr. Ayodele. Well, it was good Professor Modupe mentioned Khalid Baba when he was going to respond to that query Modupe gave us. Dr. Abe and said it rightly. Part of my contribution will be, Professor Modupe mentioned something. I took that word as part of the thrust of his paper, the organically creative work. Each time I talk with Dr. Ilonati, I say, well, when I look at some works, I could see that elements of, oh, these are real organic works here. Especially when I see parallels in some Yoruba compositions. I said, for me, it's more organic, as long as that person can explain why it happened. We start talking of creative musicology or creative musicology or whichever way. To go back to that point, women are there. Probably we need to now let them know that they also need to be there more and more. We need to revisit our history very well through oral tradition, not the one the Europeans wrote about us or European psychologists wrote about us. No. There was no community that survived without the effort of women, whether in rites, in rituals, in artwork, in wherever. Even when they are doing some passage programs for rulers in the country, women they take strong part before you can see that thing coming to be successful. And now that we are now here, having that understanding of how we were colonized, why we were colonized, how we were given names, it is now our own duty now to now start doing that in all our. Before now, you will not see any woman playing some drums. Look at talking drums, for instance. So I will be asking our presenter to look beyond our music performance in the classroom or in the hall. Look at your hall, your concert hall, as market square, as village square. Those are the concert halls you are using. And women are there. That is where we can now start talking and start taking statistics of women. We should not also forget that for all our art music, traditional music remains the bedrock. The lunch hour concert we just had for last one day, if you look at Bodemodela's works, look at the Lunati's works, even Onwuekwe that is there, and look at every traditional elements that are there. That keeps going. Traditional music remains that bedrock. Music even have interacted with formal Western art music. If you read this book now, okay, I don't know if I would have it around me here. I will not finish it about Kofi Agawa. I think it's the textbook now. And you could see the emphasis, the references he was drawing from the tradition. So let us not use just Western yardstick to measure ours or to take our statistics. Let us start from there. We cannot start putting them in classification. So the women are there, but for them to be there more now, let us go back to our history. I'm talking of one of the recommendation solutions now. What was the role of, or what were the roles of women pre-colonial? The one behind the screen, the one outside. Then that will now help us more to let our young ladies who are in the classroom now get more motivated that there is nothing men can do in music, in arts, in musical arts that women cannot do. They can even do it better. Thank you.
Thank you so much for. Okay, we
you, sir.
actually the time is, we exceeded our time, but we can see grant. I think I'm the chair, so I can use my power, my chairman power, to give more 3 or 4 minutes. So can we give Dr. Oluranti, can we make it briefly so we can also pass to Dr. Ashaolu? Yeah.
Quickly, that question again, where the women composers, thank you, Dr. Ige. I think you should direct it to the ladies. One thing that should be recognized immediately is that the world of composition is very tough. It's one thing to compose. The other thing, and the big thing, is to get performed. That it's not automatic.
Sorry, I think we missed your last point. Can you just go back a bit? We missed your last point. Let's see.
Yeah, that's,
There's
I mean,
one
the
thing
world
to
of,
compose.
yeah, the world of composition is a very tight one, male or female. So in directing this question to the women that where are they need to realize that once they write, they need to make that extra effort and fight to get their works performed. That's always, getting your works performed is always an issue. Then secondly, since this is an ongoing research, maybe I should quickly share this. I mean, it's something which addresses the point Professor Mojola raised. That was the solution. Last December, the Chancellor of the University inaugurated the Association of Nigerian Female Organists. When he said he was going to do it, I was like, where are the organists? I just checked the platform again because we have over 40 of them, female organists in Nigeria. You wouldn't believe it. We started a program for them, a 6-month program now. They come into the organ house 3 days a month. And they're studying with that. If you move around the organ house, you discover that we've gotten some new organs in there. So, I mean, as a student of the organ house, I want to say the solution is right there in front of you. With your work, you can walk up to the chancellor that you want to start an association of female composers. Let us see what will come out of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We actually have a member of
yes,
the female organization.
I'm going to give her the mic now. But before then, let's quickly do Dr. Okweyemi Ashaolu. Can we make it briefly, please? I'll make it very brief. Dr. Ashaolu. Okay.
Hello. Thank you very much. Some of the points I wanted to make have been made by Professor Okweyemi. However, I just want to encourage the women that power is not served a la carte. For you to compete with men in this space, you need to put yourself out there, and they need to do everything to actually, to be seen in that light. That's just my point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. We have. Okay, let me just give.
Yeah, I think I will go with the idea that women, we actually have to find ourselves. Yes. Because last year when we had an edition of the organ and seminar series, and they said, where are the female organists? Somebody came up and said, go and look for them. And that Onwuekwe actually found us. He found 47 members of the female Association of Nigerian Female Organists, and I'm the coordinator. It was not easy getting those ladies. So I can say that we are the one that will actually find ourselves. And with the 6-month program that came up, that started last month for us, it had made us to realize that there is more to organ playing than just making the sound. So even as composers too, I've been playing since 2000, but I don't even have a single chance as a composition. So I think those are parts of me. I was just saying this session now that it's just laziness. So we need to raise our edge up as women and just keep the ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, I think at this point, yes, there's a message here from Dr. Ilesomi Alaba. Dr. Alaba, do you want to quickly make that announcement?
Oh, I didn't know I'll be put on the spot. I quickly want to announce that Akojopo is initiating a publication series, another one. So we highly encourage women to apply. I love some of the comments about women, putting themselves out there, but we should also be mindful of putting those burdens back to women to find the ways when we ourselves are not really trying to create pathways for women. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. We look forward to Akojopo's announcement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think there's a counter reaction.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just one very little contribution of a side comment that I heard from someone now. And when Dr. Ashaolu mentioned now that the women have to go out there to compete with the men, I heard one of the women folks saying, is it a competition? Well, yes and no. Generally, it's a competition. It's a competitive world that we are. So maybe the lady or whoever it is was thinking of, okay, men competing against women. Well, whatever it is, whether you think of men competing against women, even if it is that, but even men, in the world of men alone, men compete against men. I mean, if you want anything, you have to fight for it. In what, whichever, wherever it is, you are sitting, whether you're a man, you're a woman, you are a man competing against, there are other men who want the same thing. And it's the same thing, of course, applies to women. And the point here is that the women just simply have to get up, to encourage themselves. I have gone out of my way to encourage a lot of girls and women to play proficiently on the piano, to compose proficiently. But I see this, I'm just a woman, Jerry. I beg, I can't come and die. Yes, I can't come and secure myself. And as long as you're having that mindset, that paradigm in you're not going to advance very fast. So you simply have to give it what it takes. There are books all over the place, on the internet, in my library, that teach you how to compose, how to play piano. So if you get into one of these books or some of these books and you really give it a go, you know how to play. If you want to play like a pro, practice like a pro. You want to compose like a pro, compose like a pro. You want your music, you sing professional, compose like a professional, and then put it out there and see if the world will not take it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Owase.
It's so good to be a chair. One can use his power here and okay. Sorry. Let's go to the next presentation. Okay, can we just thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.